even without a judicial warrant. The next
I think it's very likely that over the next
agents are being instructed by a new policy to force their way into American homes even without a judicial warrant. The next stage may have begun. This is going to be a slightly longer video, but I need you to listen to me. This is the document I'm talking about. It says that an internal memo from May 2025 from DHS and ICE authorizes ICE agents to enter American homes without consent, exigent circumstances, or a judicial warrant, which is the basic standard for the Fourth Amendment. The memo authorizes agents to use whatever force is necessary to enter a home with just an administrative warrant. The memo contains only two limits to these sweeping new powers, and those are the entering of third-party homes, which cannot be accessed using force, and the need for an I-205, which is an administrative warrant that contains a final order of removal. What does that mean? That if the content of the memo is confirmed, the government would be now openly violating the Fourth Amendment rights by allowing federal agents to force their way into a home based on an order issued by the same agency that employs those federal agents. And I'm preparing a Substack deep dive that explains more in detail the content of the memo, the constitutional implications, and how this policy ignores almost 100 years of Supreme Court decisions. But I want to point out two things that I think are very important in this video. Number one, this memo was addressed to all ICE personnel, but for some reason was not distributed and was only briefly shown to individuals who then trained their agency on this policy. Why is that? Well, in my opinion, because no documentation means plausible deniability and avoids something that can become a discoverable record in any future litigation. The federal government knew that this memo was a constitutional liability, in my opinion, but wanted to apply it first and minimize the fallout later. Number two, this policy is being deployed in the Fifth Circuit only, and this to me is very, very important because this is the court system that includes Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi, and it's a federal court system that is notoriously tolerant of heavy-handed law enforcement tactics. I suspect the plan here is for the government to try to get a couple of favorable decisions as people take the federal government to court after their front door gets broken down, and that will create a split jurisprudence in the country that can be used by the conservative bench of the Supreme Court as sort of a foothold to justify a carve-out to the Fourth Amendment protections. And there are a lot more details to cover in this very troubling memo, and I'll break it down into my Substack and probably also do a few more videos, but for now, I hope this will give you an insight into a federal government that is forcing its way into our constitutional protections and literally into our homes now. Agents are being instructed